How's it going, everybody? I'm just sending Bradley and Abby a note. Hopefully we got the time right. So let me just see what they have to say. He just read my message. It's good to see everybody. It's been a powerful few days and sure feels good out there. I don't know about everybody else, but it feels like we're moving into greater and greater alignment. And to me, that's a great sign. Let's see here. Let me see if he's okay. Maybe he's having an issue. Well, I would normally talk about current events, but we just had our first Soulogy newscast, and I talked about pretty much everything I could think of off the top of my head. There's a lot of good stuff going on. Let me see. I'll pull up the news feed while we're waiting. We're going to be talking to Bradley Wescott and Abby Flynn. And Bradley has a show called The True Man Show. If you haven't caught that, him and Abby also have a child. Interesting to see how that is working in terms of their ascension experience and their expansion. Let me just see. Let me ask. Here, he's going to write me now. Let's see here. Sorry about that. Let's see. Okay, I'm just waiting for his answer. I'll just put it up here. Okay, they got the date wrong. Okay, but they're coming on now, so they'll be here in a second. All right, so that's cool. All right, I'm just going to send them a thumbs up. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, let me go back to the comments. Anybody have anything they want to talk about in the meantime? Ana Isabel Espirito Santo, hello to you. She is going to be coming on, I think, later this week. Linda Hickton says it's a fantastic day. Let me just say to everybody too, we did start after several requests. We did start a. I've got two things going on at once. What do you call it? Patreon. And we did that so it would make it easier for people, because we had a lot of people request that, to contribute at their request and their choice an amount every month. There's about 35-40 people that have joined already in a week. And so yeah, if these shows resonate with you, consider making supporting us with a contribution, because we're really working our asses off. We're really trying to get to the point where we expand this thing and provide a greater platform for people like Abby and people like Bradley. Okay, so here we go. All right, they're in the studio. Let me just pull them up. Uh-oh. All right. Promote. Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Close.
Hey, Abby's just coming.
Yeah. No problem. Hang on, let me turn my volume up.
I've got it in my diary as the 12th, and I looked at my messages, and it quite clearly says the 11th. But there we go.
That's okay. We're all allowed to, I mean, it's just the way it is. Ain't no big deal.
Yeah, it's been
good.
A bit
Yeah, but I'm glad you had a fast reaction. It's okay. And this is how the best things work anyway.
Yeah, I was totally prepared to come on tomorrow. But anyway, we're here. We're here. Abby's coming through.
Yeah, there's no rush. Just tell her to take her time.
Hi.
What's happening? What's going on?
Yeah. Oh, I was just getting ready for going on a date tonight as well.
You're going on a date tonight?
Yeah, our first date since having little ones.
So
yeah.
I just want you to know, I gotta tell you what happened. So obviously that's a maternity blouse, right? Isn't that
No, but it is quite easy access.
Oh, okay. So yesterday was a very special day for my beautiful beloved partner, Morgan Lee. So I went to go get a couple. Hey, what's up? His cheeks are so red. I went to get her a couple of gifts, right? And I was following my higher guidance, and I went up to the women's department, and I saw this rack, and I saw this black top. I said, that's it. Like, I was guided. I knew that I went to get one thing that I knew I was going to get, and then I saw this top. It's called a stinglet or a slinglet. It's just a spaghetti strap. And so I was really proud of myself because it had these pads in it, right? And I asked the lady, because I figured, well, maybe she might not want to wear it with pads, because I've never seen her wear anything with pads. And she goes, oh, they come out. I said, oh, cool. So anyway, I got home and I gave her the present, and I told her that the pads came out, the boobs came out, the things that cover it. And anyway, she was looking at it kind of funny. When I found out last night that it was a breastfeeding blouse. I got a big laugh about that. It's called a singlet. That's what I was trying to say. So anyway,
good effort, man.
Yeah, we were actually doing what we do every night. We put our hands together and we connect, and we were getting this high level. I mean, really, just a really incredible, well explained kind of a review or summary or overview of the last week. It even went further than that, but particularly the last week, and it was full of alignment and wisdom and love and ecstatic sensations in the body. And then right in the middle of it, because she was transmitting, she started cracking up. I said, what? Because she was channeling, she was connected. And I said, what's going on? She didn't want to tell me. And then finally, after she got through laughing for like 5 minutes, she told me what happened. So anyway, that's my embarrassing story of the century. So Abby, it's wonderful to meet you. And what is this young man's name?
Leo.
Leo. Leo.
But Leo, yeah. Leo.
That's Morgan's grandson's name, Leo.
Oh, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
He is a little lion warrior.
He lives up to it ever since he was in the womb. He just the fire energy and the courage and all the things that I had to step up to. I mean, yeah, we shot a music video when I was 8 months pregnant, actually, for my single Courage, and he was he was the one driving the whole show, And I was
really?
in this throne with lions on it, and it was just crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, man, it was awesome. It was epic. Epic.
So did he communicate with you, or both of you, or either one of you when he was in the womb?
Yeah, definitely me. I don't know. Did you?
You had more of a connection with him from the off.
Yeah, he was always. And then it's like once we came into the world and we got to know his character, a lot of dots joined from times in my life where something was being communicated, and I recognized it was the energy of this soul. I was like, oh, that's mad, just all these parts of me that I'd kind of identified with, and he came in, I'm like, this was you, this part was you, all this courage stuff and this lion energy with me.
He's been guiding the show, man, since he came in. Like, everything that's happened to us has been, we know it's been a direct result of him and what we've had to step up to, and what, like, the transmission that he's brought into our awareness and into our lives.
Yeah.
He's a powerful little dude. There's no mistaking it.
Do you receive any guidance or direction or commands from him? Do you feel?
Yeah, I'm starting to recognize when it's him, because I would say our trajectory seemed to dramatically change when, at a certain point in my cancer journey, when I healed, which I might share about briefly, but yeah, I felt this sort of pull towards going to Bali, and then I had a pull towards, I suddenly met Bradley, and all of my life changed, and I recognized he was the one directing that. And then since he's been Earthside, I've been recognizing that same pull sometimes. So to move out of this flat, which is beautiful, but we're moving in a couple of weeks because it feels very directed, and I think that's him. So yeah, it's funny because it's not necessarily like I look at him and he's telling me, but it's like I can just feel this force coming in and speaking to my heart, and I recognize this transmission of him because he's got quite a potent energy, this kid, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very direct, this one.
He's very fiery.
We both come from quite sort of like people pleasing backgrounds, and he's like the opposite. He just like
bashes through
straight in there with the very sort of like direct what he wants.
Yeah,
he's cool. Definitely what we need more of in our lives.
Yeah,
sure.
all of us, right?
Yeah.
Have you detected any? I've talked to a couple of new mothers, and that are having experiences with their child, and they've detected like guardians with the child or guides with the child. Have you guys picked up on anything like that?
I certainly felt family members and ancestors, and especially I had a child in spirit from before, from an ectopic pregnancy, and she seemed to usher him in because I still feel her with me a lot. And if I mention her, Alma, her name is, he does tend to respond. Yeah.
You had a reading as well, didn't you, to that effect?
I had a reading once, whereas the woman said that she was able to name a lion spirit with me. She didn't know I was pregnant. And then she said, and there's another child in spirit who's still here, but she's ushering him in because he needs to come first. So yeah.
He's very vocal.
Yeah. We'll feed him in a sec.
That's okay. We can deal with that.
Well,
we can deal with that.
Hello, the camera probably.
Yeah. So, and so like another thing that I picked up from these mothers was that they got the clear understanding that this is a special child with a special purpose, and that he or she is not going to conform to the normal, typical, type of journey, including school or vaccines or things like that. Or have you gotten any kind of information like that?
Yeah, again, he really directs us into our hearts and we listen. So until we feel moved to do something, we won't. Like, we haven't had him vaccinated. It's not that we've gone, oh, we're anti-vax and we're gonna things like that, but we won't do anything unless it's very clearly guided and in heart. So it's all remaining in a space of curiosity, and we have had very clear guidance that he's not going to be a normal sort of going to go to.
He's not going to go to normal school.
I think it's going to be traveling around. He seems to be, so from before he was here, he was bringing us into community all the time.
Yeah.
We had like people suddenly coming all around us and gathering in tribe, and it feels like he's paving a way for that kind of life. So.
He won't settle. Like he doesn't enjoy just being at home. Just us. Yeah. He wants to be surrounded by other people. He instantly loves to be around lots of people in community. He wants, like, as soon as he's come in, we're leaving the place which was supposed to be, our safety, our home.
Comfort.
And Abby's going off to South Africa with Leo to meet a tribe of women, and then we're all moving to Ibiza in Spain, just off the coast of Spain for a month.
Which is sacred land there, isn't it?
Yeah, to get more connected with nature, to sort of and to build what we're building as a couple and as individuals with our purpose.
Yeah.
And that's all been very directed by him. I don't think he would be happy with us sat still.
It's like people, music, community, tribe, connection. That's what he wants.
Far out, man. So it is. So it is coming from him.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah. I don't sort of sit and go, okay, what now, Leo? It's more, I feel his soul speaking to me, and I recognize that from when he was in the womb. I can feel his higher self speaking to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it has to be, because now it's like a co-creation. What we're doing between the three of us, he's an essential part of what we're doing, and what we're doing is very much shaped by his presence,
Yeah.
and what's for his highest path as well. I have no doubt that he's going to be a very special guy.
Yeah, I think he's going to be musical and a singer, and yeah, he's our teacher as well. He's so much to give. Yeah, it's amazing.
Public speaker.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No doubt.
We'll let him just determine, but that's everything I felt. Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's going to be interesting watching him, because obviously, like, the work that Abby and I have done to sort of uproot the trauma and to go into our shadows, and the healing work we've done, is like that's made us the people that we are, and we've cleared that. Well, we're continuing to clear that sort of ancestral stuff, programming and stuff. And now he gets to step into a life which is clear of a lot of that, and it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to unfold, because, you know, I've always seen that my greatest gift has been overcoming my trauma, and that's given me a certain power, and I wonder how he inherits that power and what he does with it, and to see how that kind of goes.
He's probably part of the reason you were removing your shadows.
Yeah.
His direction and his influence. You know, before he was probably like, hey, you better get this stuff cleaned up before I get there. You know, I mean, that seems to be the frequency of these young kids is it's not the words, it's just their energy. And of course, the non-physical or etheric relationship that they're seeming to have with their mothers and fathers, particularly their mothers. So, you know, there's the old the old saying, when we go back to the 3D relationships, that if you have an issue, it's usually money, sex, or kids, you know. And I know it's all changing now, but in this transition that we call ascension, couples going through it together, and we've seen Bradley, you know, be pretty open about this, and I think Abby too. You know, it's not always easy. It's not always peaches and cream and fluffy love and light. And you have this incredible soul that's also there with you. Does he play a part in those moments when you are not in alignment, when things are being taken too serious, or when you're just off balance, either one or both?
That's a good question. Does he brings lightness in those times, I would say.
Or sometimes he'll be reflecting the energy. He'll reflect back at us the energy of what we're sitting in. So sometimes there might be some anger that I'm not allowing, and he'll have this burst of anger, and then it will trigger that in me, and then I'll need to go and release. Or he's very sensitive as to what's going on. And actually, he had quite a traumatic time coming into the world. We had a really, really difficult birth situation that brought up a lot of.
Well, as with everything we do, it was super polarized. So like 36 hours of bliss, and then a really, really intense C-section, which felt just, it was like he'd chosen how he was coming in. It was like, this is happening, and it was explosive. So, but yeah, that's the kind of energy he's bringing in, because our path is finding balance, and it's always going to done extreme chaos and extreme drama, and then extreme levels of bliss.
How he came in was a really good reflection of how Abby and I have learned to create.
Yeah,
you know, that's how it's always had to come from the shadow and from trauma. He's kind of really shown us that in the way he's come in. It's becoming apparent to us, and we know now the next level of stuff that we have to work in ourselves. He's always bringing up those shadowy aspects of us. That's good. That's the nature of, I feel, of having children. It's nothing in this world is love and light. It's always polarity in this sort of experience. So it's always just a reflection of what we need to see in order to sort of move on to that next level. Or you call it ascension, we call it ascension, or whatever, you know.
The thing is, my whole journey has been like cultivating the shadow and turning that into light. But what I'm starting to understand is that we don't need to create so much shadow in order to create light, and we can, you know, and the new paradigm is very much about creating from heart straight away without needing the polarity. So that's a work in progress.
for everybody. Don't feel
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
don't feel like the Lone Ranger. I mean,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
we don't that it'll get to the point we don't need to keep creating from pain, from trauma.
yeah, that's not a loop I think we want to play in anymore. But
Yeah.
you know, with the couples, it's more, it can be more extreme. I think it's not the same type of thing, but I mean, it can be very extreme moments as far as how you feel. And you know, I think we're all kind of working our way through it and figuring out what works for us. How do you guys handle disruption or disconnection or when you're out of alignment?
You want to go?
Well, we're both more on the passive, so we don't have arguments. Our challenge is in not knowing when there's something repressed and unspoken, because he comes from a very outspoken, aggressive sort of background, and I come from a very passive, shut down background, and both of us have taken that and said speaking is wrong, speaking it out is wrong. So we have to watch ourselves that we're not falling into disconnection through passive resentment and making things mean things about each other without saying it. And so
we normally get to a point where it's like we'll create a space for each other, for us to just speak the dialogue that we have around a situation, and the other one will hold space and we'll just breathe with it, and then allow that to be there, allow the feelings to be expressed and felt. And
like that time we got back from the hospital and we got sucked into a fear vortex with the doctors, and we had to come home, and there was something we needed to move through, and we tried to have a nice bath and be romantic, and it was like, no, because this isn't the energy. This, like, we needed to go and put on music.
Oh yeah, we got tribal, got naked and started
danced around. And it was anger. It was anger.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, so we try and basically navigate and find the flavor of the energy that needs to be expressed, and then find something to do together to allow that energy to move, and then we can sit down and actually talk it out.
We've got tools that and we kind of we listen, and then we feel into actually what wants to happen. We're very kind of like in the moment with the work we do. We don't have like a set modality or things we do. We've done enough stuff now that we kind of just feel and listen, and then allow that to move through in that moment. But there's normally, we're not necessarily the best people at just always seeing it straight away and dealing with it. We're getting better. So sometimes there'll be an issue that kind of goes under the surface for a little while, and then when it's like ripe and ready to come up, then we move through it together. Yeah,
we're only together 8 weeks when we got pregnant. So it's been a real crash course.
It's been a crash course in conscious relating. But we are we're rising together, and it's been the most powerful experience, most rapid transformational experience of my life, is being in sort of union with Abby, and and really learning how to soften for myself and receive her, because I think as a man, where I've come from is wanting to be dominant, wanting to be right, wanting to be in control, wanting to be the one who had all of the wisdom. And what I've seen is that completely turned on its head, and my biggest journey has been learning actually to fully receive Abby and realize that actually she's guiding this, and that doesn't mean that I'm in any way less than her. It just means that there's a flow and a dance, the way the masculine and feminine energy works, and there are times where we have to step up in different ways. And I really see that sort of guidance comes through Abby, and that enables me to rise into my sort of king warrior energy, which helps her and empowers her in a different way.
Yeah, good description. I like that. I like what you said too about when something comes up, it's not really, because I think a lot of people are getting away from, oh, let me figure it out. What is it exactly? I mean, there is a benefit to that, but there's also a lot of wisdom in what you said too, is before we go there, let's find this energy and feel into it together without words. So like you're dancing naked, or you go for a walk, or or whatever it is, and then you come back and that's a very good point. I like that a lot.
Otherwise your heads are just trying to figure it out, and it's got to come from the body, really, hasn't it?
Yeah.
From the heart.
I think I always feel like before we can let go of the story, you know, which is I always think in the rational mind, which is more of the masculine, we have to go into the feminine. It's always like, you know, how I say that the feminine, they get the intel and the downloads, and then that's transmitted to the masculine. I always see that as well in healing. It's like, let's go into the emotions, which is the more of the feminine, in order to let go, release the story, which is the masculine. And that's kind of how I see that particular dance, you know.
I totally agree with that. I think that for me, I turned the corner when I started to feel, which was
that's it.
Which was a
conceptual, isn't it?
It really, sorry, go.
No, I was just going to say, my story is the same. I learned that from her, right? I mean, I saw it, and I tried everything else, and then once I started to do that, then I started to make progress, and then things start to equalize a little bit, you know, for lack of a better word. But still, they are the transmitter. The feeling is the mechanism versus the cognitive, logical, rational, verbal, you know. And I like what you said about that, finding that energy and then having a conversation. So I've seen you, Bradley, bare your soul or show your ass or whatever you want to call it. I mean, so you know, so that takes a lot of courage, and it takes a great partner too, I think, because, you know, I mean, part of the masculine's issue was trust, just like her. And, you know, I don't know about you, but many times, most every time, except one, where I entrusted her being the divine feminine, whatever incarnation she was. This is not Morgan. The trust got broken, you know, or like got thrown in your face. And so to go to the depths of bearing your soul, like you have a couple times that I've seen, and having a partner who's not going to hold, you know what I mean, not use that as leverage is incredible. And that's part of this 50-50 thing, I think, as we get to it.
There's definitely a need. It's like I could easily carry on this cycle of power games and use some of the things Bradley's come to me when he's messed up, whatever. I could use that as ammunition and then we can continue a power game, but actually I want to grow with him and move forward, and I'm not under an illusion that anything that's going on for him is also reflecting something that's going on for me. And so we just keep inquiring deeper, don't we? And I was going to say, we've discussed this before, there is a temptation for women who are rising, rightly so, in their power now, to be able to use that to become superior to the masculine as the patriarchy did. But the new paradigm for me is about the rise of the feminine, having boundaries, being assertive, coming into integrity, and holding the masculine accountable, but still showing love and still saying, okay, but I'm not going to punish you and chastise you now. Let's rise together. Let's work through this. And it does take a lot. It does take a lot to step into that level of communion, doesn't it? And not being tempted to go, oh, well, now I'm in control because you messed up the other day. And you know.
It's powerful. I mean, we've been in a dynamic for so long, and I think what I recognize is that we've got the empowered feminine arising, but they're in the collective. For a lot of women, there's a lot of that feminine. There's a lot of anger, you know, and there's a lot of that, which disguising that fear that if they were to allow the masculine in again, they're going to get repressed again, they're going to get raped again, and they're going to get pushed down, controlled, dominated. And society is very much set up, you know, with the media, with everything. It's set up to allow women to continue to rise. But the problem is we've had this victim persecutor role with the masculine and the feminine, and it could topple the other way, and women would be justified using that anger as you know, that victimhood and that anger to become the persecutors, and men to become the victims. And we go to a matriarchal society. It's very, very possible. But like, I don't see that. I see we're at this point now where we've got the opportunity to heal, but for men to release the shame, you know, to get that anger out of the way, and to go actually into the shame, to release that shame of the way things have been. Yeah. That's keeping us, that men, masculine, to keep that stuck where it is, and to allow women to be justified in their anger, to release that, you know, within their own sort of contained healing space, to be able to access that fear and release that. You know, we're all just scared. We're all just feeling ashamed of the way things have been, and there's an opportunity for us to really go into that and rise together. And I think that's the work that Abby and I are doing, and that's kind of what we embody, and that's I see that as my purpose, really. That's why I feel I'm here.
And again, this was coming through him.
What?
And it's all coming through him, because
I would say, there's a
we
big,
were just on these paths, and then this soul came in, and we were like, you have this work to do together. So, yeah.
So one of the things that I noticed was that as we were doing what you're doing, right? You know, there was a point where, when obviously they felt like they weren't allowed to talk, you know, talk being a physical representation of not allowed to practice the healing arts, or not being suppressed in any way, right? One of the things I noticed, and this will probably go back a year or two, I started to notice that, and Morgan obviously is the incarnation of my life, when they wanted to speak about in a certain vein, which we would have construed in the old wounded masculine as a bitch session, or being reprimanded or nagged, I started to understand as I went, okay, I'm just going to listen, right? And that was in itself a journey, right? Because you might hear something that's not accurate in your mind, and you might have to say, but you learn. And so what I started to realize was that all she wants is to be heard. And I say this in description of what I see as the divine feminine energy all over, and even in myself. So listening to them, allowing that to happen, it's not like they want anything from it. They don't have like an agenda. It's just an energy of, here's my experience, here's how I feel, right? Don't take it personal. This is how I feel, and I want to be able to say that. And I think that's, to me, that's a big characteristic of an upward movement. But so Abby, did you, prior to Bradley or not, did you ever experience that? Did you ever feel like, hey, I'm not being heard, you're not listening? And if so, did you see it turn the corner in your time with Bradley?
Yeah, I think that's probably been my whole journey, really, is attracting relationship dynamics where I was deeply, deeply repressed. And I mean, I healed my own cancer on one of these journeys, and just before I met Bradley, I attracted this sort of red herring twin flame, if you like, who was actually very much the whole representation of the toxic masculine, and this insane control structure over me, who somehow made me believe he was like my guru, and I had to follow him and do everything. Anyway, this person I hold with so much love now, because we were just playing out the opposite dynamic to what a true union is. And it was like he controlled me, and I'd believe him, and I'd shrink. And we consciously chose to go through that, and but he never at any point recognized my feminine power, and I had to walk away in the end. And that's when I healed my cancer. And then I met Bradley straight away, and then Bradley was in that space initially where he was not comfortable with my power at all, but that was the first time I'd consciously broken through that particular barrier with a man, when he was like, oh, I just realized I'm not comfortable with you in power, and I need to work on that. And it was like absolute music to my ears, and I knew I'd done enough work to be able to, yeah, attract that reflection.
we kind of both upgraded.
Yeah, we have massively leveled up.
But it's like, I recognized straight away that Abby was in a real, she'd just come through this cancer journey, you know, miraculously healed herself, having been told that she was going to die. And just shining. She was just this beacon of light and an intensity about her and a beauty and like and I on my higher, I think my higher self was like, yes. But then as soon as we come into this relationship, it was like my, you know, all of my shit started to come up, my stuff around women and control and mother wounding and stuff, and I instantly wanted Abby on an energetic level to shrink, because I couldn't be, it felt too unsafe to be with someone holding that much power. And sure enough, straight away, that's what happened. It's like we had to go through that together, and Abby did shrink for a while. And
it's interesting. I didn't know I was, I did, because I didn't know I was pregnant. I'd kind of leveled up to this miraculous shiny version of myself. Spending, to be honest, was so like 5D all the time. Everywhere I was going, I was attracting miracles. It was amazing, but it was a bit like a tree with massive strong branches and no real roots. I'd done a lot of work, but I hadn't gone, you know, really into the deep stuff. So I did enough to heal the cancer, but I had blood cancer, and I think that there was still a lot more work to do. Wow. I healed the tumor, but I hadn't cleansed the blood yet, and so that was my next journey. And that, obviously the medical world were trying to get me to do medical stuff for that, but I was like, no, I'm gonna go this healing way. Wow. And so basically I think I could have stayed in that amazing level of new me that cured from cancer, but when I got with him, I got pregnant straight away, and I think it took that for me to go into the new level of shadow, because it forced me into my body and new levels came up, and that's when I started to shrink again, because I didn't know what was going on. I was like, because obviously the whole ancestral stuff comes through you when you're pregnant, like new levels you could never access. It's really fascinating. It was like a double whammy of rebirth, like straight back to back for me. Wow. I didn't really get to bathe in that light for very long. I was about to like explode on the world with all of my creations and my public speaking and my album, but instead I went massive, and I met him, and I just went straight back into a new level of death. Yeah,
it's been intense, man. It's been intense.
That I mean, your story's got like, you know, wow. So so you actually were like rising like a phoenix.
Yeah.
You get connected, and then you actually pull back. As you saw him you know, kind of shrinking himself. Is that right?
I guess so. It was like some subconscious mutual contract where both of our unowned parts of our shadow just were like, I'm going to stop you being in power, and I'm going to stop you being in power. And it was bizarre. But
we kind of went into all of the old codependent stuff in order to work through it, because it's purpose. And like I think when you align to your truth, like your real purpose in life, then you've got to move through everything that's in the way of you being able to bring that as a transmission to the work. And I see the last 18 months between us has been just rapid accelerated growth prep work through that, so that we can bring what we're bringing to the world. And we've actually started to bring it now, and it's, you know, it's being received. So it is a really, really powerful transmission, and we continue to grow. We're still working through it, new levels of ourselves. But it's, you know, I can see that we came into the place we're living. We came in at a time at the beginning of that journey, and we're leaving at the end of this month, and it represents the conclusion of a period of ourselves and our growth. And I'm really actually very excited to see what's on the other side of this next couple of months. It's going to be powerful.
What's interesting is the phoenixes that were rising, or especially me when we met, it looked so shiny, but I reckon one little scratch beneath the surface, and had I have gone out, I was going to go big out in the world, and like really big level, like bringing my music out on a massive label and like doing some really big stuff. Had I have done that, and like one comment from some person that triggered my unowned shame, I would have collapsed. But now this next level of rebirth, I actually feel so much more grounded and rooted, and that's thanks to this union. So it's interesting. I just chose back to back.
Wow.
Abby's been on some journey, man.
I mean, I was infertile. Like, I met him the day before I got my clear cancer scan, and I was infertile. And then within 2 months, three months, I
Not
had
so
a baby.
infertile.
That's him. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Leo
Yeah.
wasn't going to be stopped.
No,
No, that's it.
no.
I
So-
think I went down to the heart level and I healed a lot of stuff, but I didn't go down to the womb level. And that's what this has been about.
What did you refer to when you healed yourself? Were you tapping into a certain modality or a course, or was it just all coming from you?
I did. So after a lot of failed medical stuff that from the day I got cancer, I was really, even though I didn't understand at the time, it was a massive message saying, you will heal yourself, and it won't be anything else. It will be direct healing from the heart, from your power. I didn't know what that meant for years, and I tried out loads of alternative modalities. I was after all the chemo and stuff, and I decided I didn't want to do that. Then I started doing like oxygen therapy and vitamin C, like all this stuff. And I recognized that all of it was placebo. There was nothing wrong with chemo or alternative therapies, and not one was better than the other. All of it was about the intention and what you believed and how it activated the truth that everything is love and everything is already healed in you. So what do you need? What placebo do you need to activate that infinite power within you? And when I got to that level where I realized that it was all placebo, I then actively chose to go straight to source. And for me, the modality, if you like, that kind of got me there was emotional, like trauma, tracing all of my old belief systems, self-love work, coming into the inner child. That's when I was kind of shown that I could just go straight to like that source place and be infinitely loved and healed.
Yeah.
And the more time I spent in that place, my body started to reflect
Yeah.
it. But it was remarkable. I attracted, like, I had 6 men and 6 women dressed in white and me in the middle, and they held me in my truth. And this was like after a massive journey of realizing what I needed to do. The universe gave me the physical things in order to hold space for that transformation. It was just incredible.
Yeah, we had a couple of healers on in the last couple of weeks, one man, one woman, and they both talked about their method. Well, one was actually, I believe, channel, and the other one was a healer. But they said that their method was to go to that particular place. I think for one it was the 6th dimension, and the other one it was another dimension or something, but it doesn't matter. And they didn't go with questions. They just went and basked, in that atmosphere, and what they needed came to them. I'm interested to know, and you can talk about however you want to talk about it or not. So you guys have been together like 18 months, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just about, yeah.
and so you've had a fast track.
Yeah.
Individually and together.
Yeah.
You also obviously were intimate very soon after you met, because my question is, as you've had these expansions as individuals and as a couple, have you experienced a change in your intimacy? People talk about sacred sexuality or herioscamos or merging souls. But have you noticed a change in your intimacy? Has that paralleled your other aspects of expansion?
Big time, but this is our current challenge, isn't it? Because we connected, I mean, we fell in love on FaceTime from Bali and Brighton, so we had weeks of no physical contact, and our higher selves were really in love. And then we got back in these unowned shadow that we spoke of, was so attracted to each other, and our intimacy was all of that, wasn't it? It was like, it was beautiful. It was definitely beautiful, but there was also, maybe there was both things, and there was also this kind of power, like I'm me wanting to be small and you wanting to be quite dominating kind of thing.
Yeah.
Energy. And then when I got pregnant, I didn't know I was pregnant, but I just suddenly I couldn't be intimate anymore because there was something I didn't understand. There was something wrong with the energy, wrong with it. It was like, I just felt like there was some purification that needed to happen, but Bradley didn't quite understand because I think it was so buried that it didn't even, you couldn't really see that there was anything
I think
dark
I
going on.
started to become more aware of a point in, you know, when we were becoming intimate, that I would get triggered and come out of my heart and into my head and start to go into that kind of old program of that sort of
Destruction.
that kind of the sort of more dark sexual and that sort of, I guess it's like the old patriarchal sort of wounded masculine energy of wanting to dominate and assert,
performance.
Yeah.
Like, did you have an orgasm? Like, I need it, you know, the fear that drives you, or that, you know, I mean, the norm. So you were in the norm, and you were in the norm, and then
I could see it for the first time. I could see the norm and see the witness and go, this isn't what it's supposed to be. This isn't okay.
Right.
And then
it changes. It changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty.
I'd say like with them, it was just difficult then to like adapt to having sex and stuff. But I'd say that later on, we found a new beauty from preparing for the baby to come and seeing this, you know, the yoni and everything, and really falling in love with this idea that it was a creator of life. And then again, like, since having a baby, it's just there's another level that we need to access that's not available to us right now. So it's a real journey, definitely.
With this as well, because we've not gone and done any courses. This has been us learning as through feeling and through sort of intuition. And it's interesting where we're at, because, you know, there's less time for that at the moment with the baby. There's we co-sleep, and very much like those single versions of ourselves, we've had to let them go, and like those you know, there's been an initiation into parenthood, and we're learning how to fall in love with the people
you know, and
the people that we've become.
Even to cuddle now, it's like that's finding.
I get it. It was a deep program, wasn't it? And I know, and I think energetically ours happened the same way. She understood that this isn't going to work, and I'm like, well, then what are we supposed to do? And she's like, I don't know, but I know we're not. She's like, I know we're not supposed to do this. I'm like, okay.
Yes.
So exactly. For like most people, I had a lot of you know, issues, root, sacral, you know, all that stuff is stuff down there, and it was very demasculating from my perspective, but there was always like, I guess for all of us, like there's that knowing, like, okay, I know this doesn't feel good, I don't know what to do, but I can see that I'm supposed to keep going this direction. But that's interesting. Now, as your intimacy has changed and expanded, have you noticed or not, there's no right or wrong answer, but have you noticed or not that as you have these intimate experiences and interludes, that data, downloads, transmissions, other expansions come with it?
In the times where intimacy is more sacred, you mean?
Yeah, as your intimacy is transformed and expanded.
Yeah, it's hard to say right now because we are in this uncomfortable in between, needing to go down like into more tantric healing together, aren't we? But I would say when we had that really beautiful purification towards the end of my pregnancy, within that, we were getting a lot of kind of downloads about our union, weren't we?
Yeah,
we had a rebirth in our union. It was really,
we did, and also all the stuff that came up in, because it was in the run up to the birth, around boundaries, around boundaries. That was really, really intense that came through.
We started to channel a lot of stuff on behalf of the divine masculine and feminine at that time.
Cool. And have you seen any connection to the intimacy and the energy that it creates well, the creative energy that it creates, being able to apply it to say your joint efforts or to your own life or to your family or to your love or whatever. Have you seen any type of connection occurring or knowing occurring uh, as you've had these intimate moments in a higher place?
Yeah, actually, that at that time, and that's when the stars aligned and my creations started to come. My transmission from my music, basically, this music video was divinely aligned. It was mad. It was in a church. I was pregnant. It was about standing in your power and your truth. But all people from all over the world came for this 2 days, and we shot this incredible transmission. And that was really around the time that we were connecting through that sacred sensuality, and you channeled sort of She Leads around one of those times as well.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit later.
Yeah,
it was all tied in with when I look back and I see how it kind of all unfolded now, it just blows my mind around that time that we really were engaging in that sort of real deep intimacy.
Yeah.
Which was, and then all of the courage transmission that was coming through you, which empowered us, because Abby had a 10-month pregnancy, which you know, the medical profession, the amount of pressure they put on Abby to try and get her to induce after 14 days, and we both had to go through, you know, a real
standing in our truth,
initiation in being who we are and saying what we mean and what we want, and being really powerful. Again, that was all coming through that, and obviously through Leo, his energy, his, you know, what he's come to show us, and what he's come to, the transmission he's brought into our lives to empower us. And then out of that whole period, I was able to rise into my more sort of assertive, like healthy warrior energy, and in that start to show up in a whole different way in my purpose. You know, as Abby needed to soften to go into motherhood, I was able to step up and say, I'm going to start to take care of things. And I continue to rise more into that, you know, that king energy of looking after my family, looking after my life, taking control, taking ownership of, not in a, you know, control in a dominant way, but in a really sort of assertive, healthy way. I you know, obviously the True Man show that you've probably seen came out of that period. I've also used the guidance that we got through our union and through the relationship to put out a course which is called She Leads, in which I, as the masculine, hold space for the empowerment of the feminine. But the whole course was a transmission that came through Abby. You know, for example, like, it's all of her wisdom that I then, as the masculine, put into action.
Yeah.
And before every, you know, it's a group program, and before every it's all intuitive, but it all comes in the moment. Before the session, I speak to Abby and we see what's present in us, in the collective, in our relationship, and then that's what gets channeled through into the session.
To answer the initial question, all of that was sparked when we went deeper into our intimacy.
I mean, there's no separation. There's no separation.
And I think there is, in the journey or the evolution of the sacred sexuality, because it's so powerful, because you expand so much from it in so many ways, that there is, like, you know, it's almost like you hit a point and you kind of like just bounce around for a little bit. You kind of just go straight, and then you go up again, because it is a lot of information. It's a lot to take in, you know, but for everything I can see from it, including as recently as last night, it's all kind of related now. The communion's related to the intimacy, to the connection, to the two becoming one, everything's kind of related. It's kind of like tangled up, you know, together in a good way. But it's a lot to, you know, I think that's another thing about these relationships too, is that it's not so much the, you know, like they talk about good stress, bad stress, it's all the same. But, like, you know, things aren't always warm and fuzzy. It could be her, it could be him, it could be both, it could be neither one of them. It could be the energy collectively. And so you have that certain stress, but you also have it from these massive expansions. don't you? I mean, these massive expansions you experience also bring that. Do you guys ever just say, I know you're gonna go to South Africa, but do you ever just say in the moment, hey, I'm going this way, you go that way. Let's just go into ourselves at this time, being the best thing we can do versus talking. Do you ever do that?
Quite frequently, actually. Yeah, it does tend to be me going away and going on travels, and then you having some real time to go into your stuff. Yeah, so far.
I find that's always the time we have the biggest expansion, actually, when Abby says, right, I'm feeling it's time for me to, she'll go off on a retreat, or she'll go, you're taking yourself off to a yurt and by yourself in nature.
When I was pregnant, I went to stay in the yurt for a few days. I've been to India on my own, and yeah, usually Wales as well. Usually big things happen when we part as well.
It's normally like a real alignment, and there'll be a real calling for Abby. Abby normally gets the call, obviously.
Or I'll say, I think you need to go maybe.
Yeah.
I went and did, like, recently I went and did a weekend with of men's work and ceremony, and yeah, they're normally really powerful times to be a part. And we always have the biggest breakthroughs.
Yeah.
From that, in that inward reflection.
And it's too, I think you find out that you're not a part, like, I know that sounds like a cliche, but you actually find you're still there. And I think there's some type of there's something to that as well, teaching or anchoring in that reality that there is no space. A lot of the stuff I see that the couples are anchoring, which is actually the new math or the new fire of life pattern. That's the reality. It's just a lot harder to reach something like that with someone that you're not close to. So it makes sense. So okay. So you guys have anything you want to announce or anything that's coming up before we head out of here? I know, Abby, you're doing a show with Shanine, I believe, a regular show.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do something. We're gonna it's sort of moving through us at the moment, and we'll see back when. But yeah. I mean, I'm a musician and singer full time. That's what I do. So I bring my transmission into that. So
what kind of instrument do you play?
I'm a singer. So I just really use my voice, and come to learn that my transmissions and my healings will come, or as often is, straight back full circle to what I was always doing, but now with a new depth. So I do soul, jazz, R&B music.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I wrote an album of music when I was in a hospital and I had cancer, and it was very channeled, and it's been stuck in the birth canal for years. As I said, I was rising like the phoenix to release that, but then I met Bradley. I had to go into a new level of embodiment with it, and now I feel like I'm walking the paths of the songs I wrote, and they're going to be coming out later this year in a really really spectacular fashion. That's the plan.
They're incredible. She's amazing. What she's doing is incredible.
Do you want to give us a few lines right now?
I have so much courage in my soul. I have so much courage in my soul. All it takes is to relinquish the control. Gotta step outside illusions of control, and I fall into the beauty of it all, yeah. And I sit back as the mystery unfolds, and the perfection of what we couldn't know. Yeah, the perfection is something to behold, and that's courage.
Damn. I love music, and I love the blues, and I love the blues. That's beautiful. That's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
So watch out for a music video. That'll be my debut single when I'm pregnant with him. I'm dressed as a golden goddess in a bloody crown and a lion throne, and there's women around me, and it's just the most beautiful
epic, man.
expression of the divine feminine. Like, and there's another woman in it who has cancer at the time, and it tells the whole story. So yeah, it'll be good.
Far out.
That's my plug.
I appreciate y'all coming on and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence. That includes Leo as well. Hey, Leo. Do you have any final words, Leo?
Any final words, Leo?
Would you like to say something?
Anything?
He's
Would
telling
you like to give us an activation, Leo?
Yeah, I bet he would. Powerful little being.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, nice one.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Todd.
Oh, thanks, Todd. So good to meet you.
Yeah.
Have a
Big
lovely
up,
day.
Y'all take care. Until the next time.
ya.
Yeah.
Bye.